This is lit. Okay, this makes me being live streamed. Okay. Now that we are live on YouTube, hold on, let's finish load the page. Okay, perfect. Okay, here we go. So we're officially live on YouTube now. All right. So as of right now, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been doing a lot of moving. I've been moving since like 2017, from El Paso to Tampa, a lot of traveling in that time. And then I moved from Tampa, Florida to Phoenix. That's where I'm at right now. And then at the time I had some car issues, or really I just lost my car. That I've lived in California for for a while actually, in Los Angeles and San Jose. And then I moved back here to Phoenix. And I've been here in Phoenix for about 8 months, 9 months. Right. So I've been here 9 months, and I'm going to be moving back to LA next month. All right. Now this is the most interesting thing about what I learned. Now, listen, I've sincerely lived a life where I'm living more of God's will than my will. And I don't know, I know a lot of time we don't really know what that means, what that is, but based on how I got here, based on how I'm even talk about this path that I've lived to you guys, is just a testimonial of exactly everything that I'm talking about. Because this is my life. I'm literally standing on faith. I'm standing on this thing that's happening for me that I can't explain for myself. And but what I can explain is I'm realizing these huge transitions in my life, and I've been so tapped in seeing things happen for me that I can almost see them happen before they happen. And to some degree, right? It's not like I'm to the T, but there's a certain vibration that passes through that, I don't ignore, because I know it leads up to something else. And there's been something that has, that I've faced through being here in Phoenix that has opened up this new path for me that starts tomorrow. For me, it starts tomorrow. And I don't know if it's because Phoenix is, not hypothetically, but like the symbology of Phoenix itself and me being here, I don't know, that has something to do with it. Like I could have moved anywhere else. I could have been anywhere else during this phase of my life, but it just happened to be Phoenix. Now, if anybody knows the meaning of Phoenix, or the symbology of Phoenix, or what a Phoenix is, I believe I really did phase through that, with whatever that is, which is essentially a phoenix is a bird that it rises up in flames, and at some point it burns itself into ashes to be reborn again through its ashes, right? And when it reborns itself through this ashes, it becomes more stronger and more fierce in the flames that it's carrying, right? And this is a cycle that goes on over and 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 over, right? And metaphorically, I sincerely do feel like my life has been going through those phases. I think anybody really that's in some kind of spiritual process can understand what that feels like. And that's something that that's in a more Fati practice, which is like the obstacle becomes the way, right? Whatever they throw into your flame or your passion that you're trying to move forward in, every time they throw more shit in it, it just makes it more bigger. Like, just think of your passion and what you want to go after this life is a flame, and don't see anything that they throw on it as something that's going to just burn out the flame. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If we start a fire right here, I could throw a couple things on the fire and it might suffocate the fire enough, but I got to really suffocate the shit. And you got to realize that a lot of times people are trying to hold you down, but they're not really putting that much pressure on taking out your flame. And that's something that I'm learning with this, being in Phoenix, and this, this symbology of being in Phoenix and me now leaving, and why I feel like everything that I have worked for, that I have done, and that I've been trying to create up until this day, or up until I leave, if you will, I'm seeing that it's meant for me to leave it here in Phoenix. It's meant for me to, like, everything that I don't know how to really explain it, but I'm doing my best to explain it, is that, like, you at some point in your life, I'm sure you're gonna feel the same thing that I'm feeling, where it's like a chapter is closing. And this chapter, when this chapter closes, like this is one of them chapters, or this is one of them doors, if you will, that it's I cannot allow anything to leak through this door. Like once this door closes, like I gotta make sure this is sealed to the T, to the tightest it can possibly be. Because as I'm moving on 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, I cannot afford for this motherfucker to leak even from that long. And that's the game I've been playing for a long time, that I've been making sure that as I've been moving on, I've been making sure all these doors are closed as meant to be closed as I'm moving forward. And I'm seeing in this chapter that is closing, I got to make sure I seal this motherfucker real tight, because I've been doing things in a way where I am allowing this energy of what we call God, or higher power to flow through me and do things to expand and help and whatever the case may be. But there's been something that's been missing, right? And for me, in my life, it's been how can I put this? Like, it's been a slight, very small character flaw. Like, see, at the level that I'm at, it's like it becomes these small little things that you have to start weeding out the way, right? Like the analogy comes from AZD when he says, like, it's one thing when you're flying F-22 bomber airplane, right? If you're flying that shit, your margin of error is like this big. Like you don't have that big of a margins of error. But when you're driving a fucking tricycle, bike with tricycle wheels on it, you can make a lot of errors, and it doesn't matter. You're gonna stay on your fucking vehicle or your thing or whatever, right? So that's how I see myself. Like I'm at that speed, or I'm moving at that speed where I have to really I have to move these little things out the way, because it can be, it could do a lot if I don't do that, right? And so I'm saying that in the sense of like, I'm seeing that I gotta get a lot of old ideas and concepts out the way, right? And what I want you to see is that a lot of times these ideas and concepts that we carry with us, right? Even when it comes to the overall outcome of our results that we're creating, it comes from how we see ourselves and how we have our own image of ourselves and how we style certain things of that nature. Now, there's always a way to do better. There's always a way to shift things. Like, for example, like just think of it like you're on a track, just like train tracks. All it takes is them to just shift the lanes like this, and then they go to a whole nother part, right? It's the same thing with whatever you're doing. Right now, we're all on whatever track that we're on until the conscious being, the conscious part of us makes that decision to now do this, whatever that thing is. It could be getting a tattoo. It could be getting a certain job. It could be getting rid of that job. It could be basically you alter your lifestyle, and you do it in a way where you sincerely transition yourself from one place to another. You don't just kind of do it to like patch something, and that's a big thing that I've been internally going through. And next week, when we meet up next week, you guys are gonna understand and unfold another level of what I'm talking about. Because that's something that I had to work on within myself, right? How I see myself. Why did I choose to do certain things as far as everything, tattoos and my style of hair, my style of dressing myself. All these things play a role in your reality and how you're responding to reality and how reality is responding to you. Because reality responds on you based on your impression of yourself and how you carry that. Like there's literally nothing else going on that sense. Yeah. Now, of course, when we get into this whole thing of like, well, other people have whatever output. Yes, I get that. But if you have that as a main ingredient in your thinking, you're going to be off in a lot of your results, because you're always operating off of what somebody else could potentially be thinking and doing. You get what I'm saying? So that has to be weeded out in your character. That has to be weeded out in your thought process. Like that should only pertain to like, you know, making money and making business, and you alter it based on that to whatever degree that is, and you calibrate it for that. But that's not something that is a main ingredient in your creation, purely to life, right? That's what I'm looking for at that point, right? And in the process of doing all these things, a lot of interesting stuff happens, right? We begin to grow in a lot of things, and then we start seeing that we're actually more elevated and where we can understand more than the average person or the common person that walks around. So at that point, we start doing what? We start to help, all right? We start to extend ourselves. And listen, I'm the one to always say there's nothing wrong with extending yourself. You should always help somebody. And this is my personal opinion, my own ethics, of course, where I think like if you're capable of helping somebody, you could help somebody, you for sure should. Do I think you should just help the whole world? Should you try to save the whole world? Fuck no. Like, fuck no. You should not try to be a hero. You shouldn't even just try to be a hero like that, because then you're gonna fuck yourself up by doing that, basically, right? You should extend yourself in the point where you're also helping yourself, being able to help somebody. You're not doing it from a place of like of wrong sense of obligation, if you will, because you're not obligated to do anything outside of becoming a man. That's an obligation and a task we all have as being a man, right? Being born a male, it is our obligation to become a man. Like, it's something that we need to do, right? So this is something that has been, you know, really changing big parts of the game and what I'm capable of doing. And I want to share that with everybody, because there's going to be, man, it's just such an amazing thing. Because see, when you're on this path, right, which is the path of like pure faith and shit like that, you start realizing your seasons and your transitions. Like, I'm very aware when I'm going through a transition, I'm going through shit like that, right? And it becomes a point sometimes where things are going so good for so long, you're like, damn, bro, like, it's almost weird. Like, what is going to happen next, bro? Like, there's always some bullshit that happens. Like, the girl starts bitching about something, bill comes up like, you know, a day early, or like you're like $5 short off of something, like whatever bullshit comes up. There's always some weird thing that comes up, or like a big shift happens, whatever, right? And it's like, you know what? Even on the other side of the fence, you know, in the sense of like when things are going really negative, or things has been going negative, where is that anticipation or expectation of something good happening? You know, and how intense is it? That's what I've been measuring within myself a couple of times. Like, this is not the first time I've had this realization, but I'm having it on a deeper level, which is like, man, I've been so caught up in doing and creating certain things that I've lost the ability to have higher and more intense expectations of a better thing that can happen for me and to me. I still got caught up in I got to do this, I got to figure this out, got to go make this side hustle, got to go, like all these other little things that end up consuming the bigger thing of what we're really capable of doing as individuals, which is when we're able to tap in an intense feeling of expectation based off of good outsource of energy. Meaning what? Like, you get up, you're a good human being, you're not out there hurting nobody, you're not trying to take nothing from nobody, you're doing an honest thing, you're out here to help people while you're helping yourself, and you're doing all this out of good, positive, intentional energy. But for some reason, our intensity of a positive expectation to come out of that is almost gets like diluted off of what these quote unquote facts of life currently, which is, you know, money is this, money is that, situations like this, situations like that. So we put our attention way more on these temporary quote unquote facts instead of the truth of what our fruits of our labor can give us, right? This is the facts. Like this, now this is the real facts that I'm realizing for myself that's helped me elevate on a level that bro, I'm gonna explode internally, like not in a bad way, but in an extremely good way. Like, you know what I'm saying? An extremely good, like I'm gonna explode in an extremely good way because I'm seeing that that is all that I've been doing. And that means life is going to pay me in tenfold or in hundredfold for sure, because those are the seeds that I have been planting. The problem is that I've took my attention off of it for some time, and I need to go back and make sure that I do that, because look at your attention. Like, remember, your mind is like a farm. It's like, it's fertile ground. Your mind is like fertile ground. So you got to be mindful of the seeds that you water and you plant. And with that, I'm saying, like, your attention is like the sun that hits the ground of these ideas and thoughts. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful of how you're doing that, right? You got to be mindful of how you're doing that. And when you're doing that, you got to give it the attention. Now, if you take it away and you start giving it to a worse, or let's not even give it a judgment of better or worse. Let's just say if it's not in alignment of what you're trying to do as a man, you gotta dig it out. You gotta get rid of it. And that's the power of having meditation. Meditation practices help you see these little roots that are growing in your farm, right? These little roots and these little whatever bullshit that's going around fucking up your shit. And at some point, once you basically solidify that skill of farming your mind and your ideas, it begins to take care of itself. That's the beautiful thing about it. Now, is that to say that it's going to be just all worked out one day and you never got to, I don't believe that at all, honestly. I think what I do believe is that you get to a certain point of like Buddha and Jesus and Maharishi and these high-level yogis and gurus and prophets, whatever you want to call them, which is they got to a point of realizing that there's a higher being. I'm not in control of everything. All I'm in control of is my choice to do better. That's it. And there is no right or wrong in that sense, because how can I really judge anything? Because fuck, so with that being said, is that okay, we got that helps me let go of these other ideas that I've been hanging on to, right? These ideas of like, man, I gotta be in some kind of sense of control of certain things. And I think when I start doing that, that's a clear indication that I'm definitely not in control of shit. Like, I'm here trying to, it's like, it's an epitome. It's like, bro, you can't do that. Like, it doesn't matter. You can do it for so long. Yeah, maybe some people get away with it, but the backlash or the rebound effect of it is a motherfucker. And we all see a lot of people fall or fail when that happens, when they try to hold on really tight to something they can't control. Yeah, you're gonna hang on to it, but at some point that shit gotta let go. And when that shit rebounds, when that shit ricochets, okay, like that's the consequences of that. And so what does all this go back into meaning? Like, okay, look, we gotta be aware that at some point, or this is an everyday thing for me, really, but we gotta face the choice of like, okay, what is the next thing that we gotta do to level up? This is levels of mastery, right? What is your next level of evolution? And the question is, are you ready for your next level of evolution? And that's an honest question you gotta ask yourself. There might be a day, look, there's been plenty of times on my next shift and my next level that once I get there, I'm like, I'm not ready for the next one. Like, damn, that one I just went through was a lot. But okay, and there's been times where I'll level up and I'm like, shit, I'm ready to level up again. Let's go. Like, let's go. But then, so this is interesting, because then this is how you measure yourself. You start seeing like, okay, am I ready for my next level of evolution? What is my next level? Only you can answer that. Meaning what? What's the next thing you got to accomplish and grow in that? Now, if the answer is, I'm not ready to do the things that's necessary for me to get that, okay, now you got to ask yourself, why is that? What do you need to work on so you can be ready for that? Because it's going to happen. If you're going somewhere, it's going to happen. Like, whatever seeds that you're planting is going to come up at some point. So are you ready for it when it comes? And I'm seeing that like right now, I'm about to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to move to Los Angeles, California. To me, that's not a little thing at all. And I'm realizing that everything, like I got to empty my cup. Like I'm going to completely empty my cup. What do I mean by that? I've gathered and I've learned so much and I've applied so much. I've gotten so much, but there is a whole new level that's available. That there's a lot of things that I know now that I know I can't carry with me. It's a trip. It's a trip. And I know this happens in other areas in skill, where it's like, I can't, like, it's like a, I don't know what you want to call it, like an old teaching or ancient knowledge or some shit of like, you learned what you learned up until now, but what you know now could potentially like be devastating for you because of what is necessary for the next level. So you got to empty your cup. You got to let go of all that and let what's meant to stay, what's meant to let go, be and let go. Like that's the real power of a master. And I'm seeing that for myself. I'm truly living that life. Like, man, there's a lot of things that I'm facing. I'm like, fuck, but I got to let it go. I have to let it go. That's just part of it. And it's like, it's intense. But this is the life I chose, not the next person chose, right? And I have to accept it for what it is. So I'm saying all these things of like, if I'm going through this on my path and everybody here is seeking to be in a high level, because I'm seeking to be like the highest level of whatever I'm doing, like sincerely, like for real, for real. So it's like, if that's the case, everybody's going to face that moment of like, man, I worked hard for X, Y, and Z, but I know if I want to get this thing, like, it's like a straight knowingness. Like, I know it. Like, now, this is a beautiful thing. There is multiple ways to get to one thing. Like I believe what my grandfather told me, which is, it's more than one way to skin a cat. That's like an old saying in the islands. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like, you don't just do it. It's not just one way how you do something, basically, right? So it's like, yes, that is true. But what I believe is that when you're following your heart and you're truly going in faith, like just solely in faith, I believe that is always the way to go. Like whatever that line of energy is going, like that's the one you got to follow. And yeah, there might be some ways where you're like, man, I got to go around it and I'm going to do it this way anyways. Listen, that's what it is for you. That's what it is for you. But for me, I can face things and be like, you know what? I gotta change that. No matter how much it means to me significantly or what's the word? Like sentimentally, right? It's not about how much sentimental value I have on something. It's really about, hey, where's my results? And where do I need to get better results? I'm learning how to get rid of my feelings. Not that I don't feel when I need to feel my feelings, but I'm aware when it's not time to be feeling that shit. I'm more aware of like, man, I'm kind of being a little soft or too sentimental about something that will actually poison or lessen my potential. And that's a game I don't play, not even with myself. So I'll be damned to play that with anybody else. I'm not into playing the game of compromising my potential. So if that means, doing whatever it takes to see that, I'm going to do that. Not in an unethical way, in a very ethical way. What I'm saying in the sense of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm not going to allow sentimental value of anything or what, I'm going to make sure it's being done the proper way, having certain boundaries and rules. So as life is infiltrating itself, because we can't stop that. Life is constantly infiltrating itself or trying to push itself on us and somehow. And I have to make sure, and I am making sure that as that's happening, I'm not losing my boundaries and shit. And I'm not doing it. I'm not also saying it in a way also where I'm having so strong boundaries that I'm not enjoying life either, because I've been on that side of the fence as well, where I'm so rigid and rough and so firm on having certain boundaries that I didn't know how to have fun. And that's nobody wants to be around a guy that doesn't know how to have fun, right? Like I'm learning how to do more of that, because that's something that has hindered me in field sometimes. When I'm trying to have a good time, I'm like, fuck, I got too many of these like trying to do this and trying to do that in my head that's kind of slowing me down a little bit. And I'm good in field, but once again, I know there's a higher level of that potential, and I'm going to get that. So before I move forward, in my lecture for today, is there any questions or insights or comments or anything that's making sense for anybody or not making any sense for anybody? Please feel free to unmute and chop it up.
I have a few things.
Yeah, for sure.
First things first, man. Like you were really tapping into that Phoenix energy, like spitting heat. My phone overheated, bro. Like all applications closed, so I put it
That's
in the
right.
freezer for a few minutes. But yeah, man. Like so, I missed a few minutes, but I didn't miss a few minutes. So, but I really feel what you're saying, man.
Thank you.
Like, thanks for the insight, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Man.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions or anything like that? Yeah, brother. Like, I sincerely think, or I have a More Fati tattooed on my stomach. All right, I have a More Fati tattooed on my stomach, and that a More Fati is very close or very, very similar to like the Phoenix understanding or symbology and shit like that. And I sincerely think that that shit is real, because it's definitely playing its role through me right now, for sure. Like it is my experience. Like, you know, what's very interesting is that everything that I talk about is sincerely just my experience. Like I'm not fabricating or trying to put something together or trying to, like, this is sincerely how I'm living my life and how I'm perceiving it, how I'm maneuvering through it. And I've seen a lot of things, man. Like, you know, looking to have a passion, or not even looking to, like, actually having a passion and living in what it means to have one and all that. It has truly freed my life on a whole nother level. Like, I was just thinking the other day, or maybe it was today or yesterday, I don't remember, but I was just thinking like my age. I'm just like, man, this is a trip how this shit works, because it's like, you know, at the end of the day, the truth is, it's a trip. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, bro, we're only here for a certain amount of time, and then that's pretty much it. And it's like, you know what? Fuck, I'm so happy. It felt so good to be like, you know what? Like, because there was a moment where I was like, damn, bro, like, I think this happens to everybody. This is everybody that goes through this, right? So I'm not nothing special, but I was like, bro, what if I just don't make it? Whatever that means. Meaning, like, what if I go flat broke and I become a bum on the street or some shit? What if, like, nobody ever remembers me and I just fucking just go in a little corner or some shit like that? Nobody, like, these ideas, I'm sure that happens to anybody when they go after something that's so drastic as me, right? And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you know, but like, what else would I be doing? Like, that means I'll be doing what? Living a regular job, doing this regular shit, securing my life. And then I wouldn't be happy doing that shit either. At minimum, like, bro, I actually went for it and I actually had the experience and I'm still doing it. And it's like, it's not up to me to know when or not this, that, and the third is going to happen. That's literally me robbing my own energy and creation. Like, that's me robbing it, you know, going the wrong way with it. Because at the end of the day, we're all programmed for survival, and survival means positive energy. If you ask me, survival is what's best for me. So I started thinking, like, man, why is it when it comes to me thinking about surviving, like, I'm not having too many positive thoughts. It's always about this going wrong and this can potentially go wrong. I'm like, damn, I'm a little fucked up. I'm a little fucked up somewhere. But this is the beautiful thing about being on a process and being in the AZD process and being even in the base and things of that nature to a degree, is that, you know, we don't run away from these concepts and ideas. We actually challenge them. We challenge them with the beast presence and knowing, like, hey, like look, everybody has those limited ideas and beliefs. Everybody does. I just don't believe I'm the only one in this world going through that. So if that's so true, and I know it is, then that means I'm going to continuously face people with this other idea of bro, I'm not a regular person. And that shit would never lessen me as an individual. And embodying that, embodying that. And that's part of what everybody's gonna see tomorrow. I'm gonna embody that on a whole new level because I know what I'm capable of, right? One thing AZD has said that helped this transformation. For sure it helped. It's something that I've already been thinking on, but when he said this, it opened it up on a new level, which was I think he was telling the class or he was telling the girl, I wasn't too sure which one it was, but basically what he said was, of course, this is what he said in quotes, of course, I'm 100% designed to get the 10. And end quote. And then I remember I'm just like, damn, immediately I started seeing parts of my character and I'm like, it's not designed for the 10. It's not designed for the highest level of my potential. And I'm like, that's very interesting. That's very interesting because I've gotten a lot with my design so far. However, can I say that I've designed it to get something and I've gotten it? I can't say that. And that's very interesting because I realized that when I used to do that, I used to get everything for sure. Anything that I wanted, I used to get. And however, this design that I have now has gotten me everything that I did want. And that's why I designed myself like this. So I guess that's a question I'm gonna pass down to anybody listening to me, which is like, is how you put yourself together or how you personalize yourself. Is it something that you have 100% created to get that thing, whatever that thing is? The 10, the girl, the job, the lifestyle. I don't want to say job. That one just rang different for me. Just lifestyle. I want to say lifestyle because you can have whatever job and have a bomb ass lifestyle. But if you have a job over a lifestyle, then you fucked up somewhere. I just think that, like, I've seen people that have had jobs that people are like, I would have never had that job, but their lifestyle is dope as shit, right? And I've seen people that have a job that everybody think they should have, but their lifestyle is fucking trash. I never want to live that life the way they're living it. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's a good perspective to have that angle on it because that's all that's happening. And all this goes into just me just saying, like, at the end of the day, man, we all chose to live. Like, the moment we all became 18 or 21 or whatever the legal age was, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'll say like the first, respectfully, solid 3 to 4 years. Solid 3 to 4 years after you're like officially on your own. You're kind of running on fumes of like, being a rebel or like, not giving up, whatever the fuck it is, or just exploring and shit like that. But I say after that, like 3 to 4 years, like all the choices you're making are really just your choices, like for sure. Like for sure. Like I think by 3 to 4 years, you already listen to the teacher, your parents, and your friend and that friend. And by the 3rd or 4th year, you're for sure getting tired of that shit. And you're like, man, I gotta stand on my own shit. So I'm saying that in the sense of like, we all gotta remind ourselves that we can always change. We could always change what is best to our potential. What does it mean to stay true to one thing but change everything else or whatever the case may be? Well, that's up to you to figure out, right? It's up to you to figure out. I've seen it for myself. Like I said, I've learned how to have one idea, which is I want to see my potential, and my potential is what I've seen it to be. And I'm aware that I'm going to go through a bunch of courses of events in the meantime until that comes. And while that's happening, I need to make sure that I'm on task of what I want to do. And we all got to know what that is. It could change on a daily, it could change on a weekly, but you should have those things. You should have a weekly goal. What do you want to accomplish by the end of the week? What I want to accomplish by the end of the day? And then you start breaking it down. And and then yes, there's gonna be a moment of time where it's like it's very strategic, blah, 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 like very disciplined. And at some point, it's not gonna be as that anymore because you're already in the rhythm of doing it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying on the sense of you got to just change your rhythm. If you want to start to shift universes or shift realities, shift lifestyles, all these different words, then you got to put yourself on a different rhythm. You can't do the same thing expecting a different result. You can't play the same line of music expecting a different song, right? You got to play a different beat, a different rhythm to get a different result. And it could be as simple as a lot of things. Like, you know, I used to wear, I started wearing like these hoop earrings sometime I wear them, right? I started adding little different things. You know, I just went on a little like small little like shopping, but I did some smart shopping with like my jewelry. I got different kind of jewelry now, right? I'm shifting things. However, everything that I do, I've chosen to categorize it as a spiritual reason of why I'm doing it. Why I wear gold, why I have tattoos, why I have long hair, you know, why that I wear certain things, why I got all these things has to be, you have to have a solidified reason of your choice of why you choose what you do. Like always have that in mind that you're choosing to what you want to do. And what I've learned from Neville Goddard in the last couple days is listening to him is that you can't have any regret. Like, don't have any regret. Like, that's part of like the chosen teaching, which is like, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. Like, you don't have to be so exaggerative or anything like that. Like, you just got to be solid on what it is that you're doing, right? And if you made a choice and it's like, damn, it wasn't the right choice, then okay, well then that's just what it was. Like, fuck bro. If we would have known, we all would have been making all the right fucking choices. I mean, let's keep it real. If we know the answer is A on the test, we're not gonna sit here and be like, oh, let me sit here and put, no, bro. Like, we don't know. Like, it makes sense. So it's like that's a part of my character that I had to let go as far as like beating myself up too much of like trying to get everything right. And that's part of thinking you know everything. You see what I'm saying? So don't think that every time you try to make a right choice towards whatever you're trying to do, right? For example, you're gonna go in field and it's time for you to go in field, right? And you're gonna go talk to a girl or you're gonna talk to a set, right? You're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna choose ideas and concepts and words that sound and seem like the right thing to do, and it might not go off the way you want to go off of it. That's okay. You're better off burning that bridge than to keep thinking potentially that's the right bridge to walk on, and you always halfway on it, halfway back off of it, and you don't never really cross it the whole way. No, burn the bridge all the way through so you know that it is not what you want to do. It is not how you want to communicate. It's not the words you want to do. So then the next time you open the set or you talk to a girl in field, you could be more on track on unfolding the next best thing to communicate to her, your value, your tribe, whatever the case may be. But it's the same analogy in your life. You got to try out what you got to try out, do what you got to do so you know, okay, this is not working out. You don't know until you know. Like me, when I had locks, when I had my hair short, I never grown my hair this long before. Never. This is the longest my hair has ever been in my lifetime. And I'm satisfied with it, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I should be able to let this go whenever I want to. Because this doesn't make me. You see what I'm saying? It is my identity. But you gotta learn to say, okay, well, this has been what it is. It's time to go to the next thing. I've done this. What's the next thing? You see what I'm saying? And move on it. Sincerely move on it. Like, step on it, like be a stepper. That's what they call it in the streets out here. Be a stepper, meaning like if you're gonna step, then step. I mean, there's other reasons for that, but that's kind of what that comes behind of. Like, you got to be able to move on what it is that you need to move on. Like, stop hesitating. Like, hesitation don't get you anywhere. That's something I learned in the military. Like, there's no need to hesitate. There's zero. Like, when you have your eye on that scope and your finger on the trigger, hesitation is not going to help you. It's not gonna help you. So if that's true in that moment of hitting your target like that, that must be true in every other time you're trying to accomplish something. You can't hesitate. Hesitation cannot be in the mixture of elements of creating something. You can't create something with hesitation. Right? I can hear it when people are talking, when they're doing something. There's no need to hesitate. Now, do I have moments of considering something? Yes, that makes sense. But there's a time to consider something, and there's a time to make a decision. You got to get more aware and more comfortable of knowing time for considering something and time to make decisions. And part of that, I've learned so many things in different areas of my life. I learned that in basketball, right? And basketball, you're a point guard. I played point guard before. When you're a point guard, I'm sure there's other analogy I could use it for. Right now, I'm gonna use point guard. When you're a point guard, there's been times in basketball games where people are just running back. They're just running back and forth, running back and forth. But that's because the point guard is speeding up the game. Like the point guard has control of the game. So if the point guard wants to walk the ball down the court and take all 24 seconds, he can do that. And that's something that I learned in basketball, which is like, bro, when you have the ball, the moment you have the ball, you're going to have four other motherfuckers. Hey, pass the ball, hey, pass it. But, bro, you have the ball, though. Like, bro, you have the ball. So take your time. You can sit there. You can look around if you want. You can sit there and dribble. You got whatever time's on the clock. You can do that. But guess what? Remember, there's a timer going. That means you have to make a decision. So it's the same thing in life. Life giving you the rock. When you wake up in the morning, you got the rock. You got the ball. Bro, what are you going to do with it? You could sit there and just dribble it all day, or you could just rush it. You could rush it through it all day and burn yourself out, or you could be strategic and play the field, like they say. That's the what we say on the court. Like, no, play the court, like play the field. Meaning what? If you know this person is slow and this person is weak on this side, play it, right? It's the same thing on the game. When you see that you're weaker on opening versus closing, play it. If you better at if you're amazing at opening but you can't close for shit, play it. But know that. Don't keep doing it thinking you're doing like like know that you're making mistakes and know that it's not. That's why you got to have a high standard. So then you can see like, bro, like that's not good enough for me. Like, yeah, I did it, but I could do better. I saw what I could have done better. And be honest with yourself. So when another person constructively criticizes you, you don't take it up the butt every time. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what a lot of people do. They want help, but every time somebody constructively criticizes them, and the difference between somebody criticizing and constructively criticizing is two things. One, you're asking for it, so that's constructive. It's different when somebody, or two, you're putting yourself in a position to be constructively criticized, right? And another way how to see that is that, okay, who is telling me what they're telling me? Is this somebody that's actually doing what I'm doing? Are they actually seeking what I'm seeking? This is any area of life, of course. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and before I close it out, is any final comments or questions or insights or anything like that and from this talk today? If not, it's no pressure. I'll close it out. Just want to open up the floor. Normally on these lives, I open it up halfway and then I open it up again towards the end. So yeah, let me see here and check my messages real quick. Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, let me just say I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's attention for joining Levels of Mastery here on Tuesday on IMC TV. Yeah, it was an amazing session. My next session will be on Thursday. But it'll be more of the inner circle, so it won't be streamed on YouTube. So it'll be a little bit more personal, a little more insightful, things of that nature. Although this one was pretty close on that, but every Thursday we'll go more deeper in understandings and teachings and readings that I have and things of that nature to help, that I use to help keep my mastery at a high level, right? So I'm gonna be going over that on Thursday. I'm sure nobody wants to miss that because on Thursdays I'm really like going in on that, right? Here I keep it surface level as much as possible. However, that's the part of the practice, right, of communication. So nonetheless, appreciate everybody for tapping in with me because this is a very great show for me to express myself. And I'm glad everybody got some sense of value out of this. Also, if I'm missing anything, nope. My Instagram is master_pyro with a 0. Same thing with my TikTok. And I think that's about it. Salute to everybody that tapped in with me. This is your boy, Master Pyro. Y'all stay blessed and stay